Hello, everybody. This is Stephen Gibson, and today I want to show off a little bit more of combat. Actually, I want to show off me playtesting and explain some of the things I do to help me playtest a prototype. So, let's get right into it. First off, I use Tabletop Simulator. I have a system set up where I have the cards Photoshop files. Then I have an InDesign file that loads up all of the cards. I'll show you real quick here. And then it saves them out to Google Drive. Then Google Drive, I have, you're able to use a third-party website that creates direct links to images. Now Google Drive is nice where if you save over the image, it doesn't change the URL of that image, which is a very important feature. So that when I save it out, the image updates, but the URL doesn't change. And then use another website to grab the direct link from Google Drive. Don't ask me why Google Drive doesn't give you direct links. I don't know, but you can use a third-party website to extract that direct link. Then so here's the InDesign file. It has a bunch of Grimslinger stuff, but it also has the Outlaw stuff. Then from Google Drive, you take those links, and then in Tabletop Simulator, when you can go to Objects, Components, and then Cards, and you can click Custom, and then it gives you the links to do. And so you put in the direct links there. And then an important thing is for your game, you have to turn off mod caching. You have to make sure it's off, so that every time it loads this particular level or whatever it is in Tabletop Simulator mod, it re-downloads the stuff from the internet. If you have mod caching on, it's going to download it once, and then it's going to keep that saved. So it's not like constantly updating based on the URL, but if you turn mod caching off, it updates, so that every time I save out the file in InDesign to the Google Drive folder, I keep all the same file names. As soon as I open up Tabletop Simulator, it updates my prototype. I know that was a long explanation, but it literally takes like 10 seconds to update my prototype. In the early days of Grimslingers, it would, I was physically printing and cutting out cards, and that was just a flippin' nightmare. So when Tabletop Simulator came along, I exclusively prototype in Tabletop Simulator, and eventually I move on to a physical thing, but that's like really late in the game. And sometimes I don't. Okay, so I also have a bunch of Google Docs. If you look over here, I have a couple folders. Here's one, and it shows you all the documents I have for the game that explains different parts of it. I also have when I have like quick random notes I want to talk about with myself, I create a Trello, and it just has like different topics, so like condition cards, and then everything I'm thinking about condition cards I write here, and eventually when I like what it is, I'll move it over to the G doc and create a G doc, and that'll be more like my more official thing. So I have like combat, and then all these different combat topics, and so it's just all these different things I feel like. Loot tables for monsters, creature modifiers, all this kinds of stuff I work on in the Trello, and it's free. Anyway, so I got all these files. So over here is going to be my character sheet. Normally this would be in the app. I mean, any of these documents would be in the app. Okay, so I'm simply going to play the game. I'm going to play through a battle, and I'm playtesting. So this isn't meant to show off a finished design whatsoever. I'm probably going to be stopping to change numbers and thinking through why I don't feel good about something I'm experiencing. So my current character has a 6 of a kind with the Sun Dancer enchantment. Now your enchantments give you additional skills, which I forgot to open up there. So we go over to enchantment skills, And here you go. Right now there are 9 different enchantments you can get on a weapon, and they each give you different skills depending on if it's on a gun or a blade or whatever. So go to Sundancer gun skills. Now in the game you're gonna have to unlock things, so you might have a weapon that has a Sundancer enchantment on it. You're still gonna have to put experience points into unlocking those skills. So right now on my character, my gun allows me to have these skills: bullseye, family hammer, hip shot, but I've only unlocked hip shot, pistol whip, and point blank. And those ones come unlocked. My character is kind of a starting character. I'm going to ignore my ornaments. Ornaments give you stat boosts, and sometimes give you skills. So I just have a basic 15 HP. That's just numbers chosen randomly at the moment. I've got 1 speed, strength, accuracy, and I have no resistances. And I have 10 of each. So these are character stats and these are adventure stats. I have 10 of each adventure stat. So I am going to be fighting just a straight up scoundrel. So what I'm trying to test is kind of the starting difficulty of the game. Like, how weak can you be? Like, what should your first fight be like? So for this fight, what I think would be best for players learning to play the game would be to tell them to ignore the kinetic resistances. I'm going to have them fight a minion, which means they're also going to ignore all this like creature tracking stuff down here, which is just for bosses. So they don't have to worry about condition cards for creatures or anything like that. So it's going to be a pretty basic fight. I only have every other environment card flipped over. For the first fight, I might even do less. Yeah, 1 or 2. 1 is not as interesting. It's got to be at least 2. So you have your 6 environment slots. Excuse me. I'm actually filming this at night. Okay, so we've got mana flow. A stream of spiritual energy flows here. If a combatant's target is in or past this column, this is a column, in relation to themselves, any range damage the combatant does to the target will also be spirit damage. So that means if I'm standing here, basically this mana flow is imbuing my attacks with spirit damage. Only ranged attacks though. So if I shoot somebody over here, it's going to shoot through the mana flow and it's going to get extra spirit properties. Now, if you end your turn on the mana flow, you're going to gain empowered ×1. That's a condition. And you're going to replenish 1d6. So that's a roll of a 6-sided dice in mystery. So that's really good because mystery is kind of... it's very useful. It can be kind of used as a substitute for any of the other adventure stats. It's kind of like a luck and mana at the same time, kind of rolled into one. So that's mana flow, and then the hole. Basically, if you get staggered, like pushed into here, it's going to exhaust you, and you're going to get hurt. So hole is bad. I don't want to try and shove the dude into the hole. So let me set my HP to, we're doing 15. Just cause. And for the creature to figure out where he's starting, he's going to be on number 6 over here. So he's starting at the very end. And so, because I'm using a gun, I'm definitely going to choose to go on the mana flow. The only problem is my gun only has a range of 2. So that actually makes it tricky because I can't shoot him all the way over there. So these will be one of like the decisions you'll have to make when you're first starting out. Like, where should I place my character? The closer I am to the left-hand side, the people on the left-hand side start their turns first, right? So that's important. But then I also have to think like, I could put myself on the hole, Yeah, if you start in the hole, it doesn't hurt you. It's just if you move to the hole. So it's like in this area, there's a hole. So I'm not necessarily sitting in the hole, but I am near it. So I think I'm going to start there. At least that way he can't push me into it. And I'm within range. Yeah. Excuse me. I'm not bored, I promise. I'm excited. Just tired. Okay, so that's how we're gonna start our battle, and it's that simple. So it's gonna be my turn first, and the nice thing about scoundrels is like there's no like HP track or anything. I'm merely trying to hit him twice. Now on a player's turn, you get 2 actions, and on your turn you can move up to your speed. So my speed is 1, so that means I can only move 1 tile. I can attack, I can use an item, I can interact with an environment card. Say if there's like cover, I could flip it to create cover, or I can change my equipment. And I can do any 2 of these actions. And I can even do 2 of 1. So I could attack this guy twice, which is probably what I'm going to try and do. So this battle is just based on like trying to figure out how to get players to learn the fight first. So in order to use my Sundancer skills, I'm gonna need charges. They require charges. So you can see like a solar charge shot requires 1 charge, sun shot requires 2, and super hot shrapnel shot takes 3 charges. Now your regular skills, like pistol whip and hip shot, which I'm gonna do hip shot, these build charges. It's not currently written in this one, but it builds 1 charge. Okay, so there are no requirements. Fire a carefree shot and potentially inflict a random condition. Sounds good to me. Now, conditions don't matter on minions. You can't apply conditions. A haphazard blast from the hip. That's what it would say when you actually like click on it and resolve it. So, resolver, that's me, must roll 1d20 and add their accuracy to the outcome. Then input the outcome. All right. Shoo. Rolling the 1d20, and I got an 11. So I could have deducted mystery to increase my roll, but hey, you have to do it before you roll. Anyway, I got 11 plus my accuracy, which is 1. No, my accuracy. Sorry, accuracy is 2 because each weapon increases your stats in different ways. So my brilliance is actually 11. My vitality is 12. 11. My speed is actually dose. I get +1 willpower. Cool. Alright. So I got 11 plus 2. So 13. So you would not see this information in the app. You would simply click the button, and then it would ask you to input the number you rolled plus the other stuff. So I would be putting in 13, and it would then show me the correct outcome based on what I put in. So it is currently 10 to 15. So the bullet grazes them. Target takes weapon damage type as damage. So this stuff, these are called tokens. Anything that has a $sign, the app reads this and inputs the information from that token. So the token for weapon damage, when you equip your weapon, it sets your weapon damage to, in this case, from 6 of a kind, it sets it to 3. In the weapon damage type, it sets it to kinetic. So it would read as target takes 3 kinetic damage. That's all you would read. You wouldn't see all this other crazy stuff. So target takes 3 weapon damage. Yep, that's cool. Now normally this guy has 3 kinetic resistance, so he would be, I wouldn't do any damage to him. But because for this fight we're ignoring their resistances to help me learn the fight, he's going to take a damage, so he's going to flip his card over. And so I am so I'm going to do another attack and see if I can just kill him. And this time I'm going to do a hip shot. I'm going to spend 6 mystery. So my current will be 4. So that means I get 3. I get +3 on my die roll. It's going to be 3 plus 2 for my accuracy, so 5. So whatever I roll gets +5. I got I didn't get 11 again, so I got 16. Which just puts me into a vital shot territory. Target takes 2 plus 3 kinetic damage and gains bleeding times 1. Now he doesn't take conditions, so 2 plus 3. So he's gonna take 5 damage, and then yeah, he'll be dead. So that's the end of the fight. That'd be the end of the fight, and then it would instruct you to click on the button that allows you to loot the enemy. So you would click like loot corpse or whatever, and then you would select what you had killed. So in this case it would be a scoundrel, and then it would randomly tell you, hey, you've gained this item. And it could be an ornament, it could be crafting materials, it could be a weapon, all kinds of stuff. So that's always fun and exciting to get new loot. And you'd gain experience from it as well. So here's one problem. The creature didn't get a turn. I was able to kill him too fast. And I want players on their first fight to resolve a creature's turn. So what I could do on that first fight is say he starts here. Like, don't flip any of these cards. He starts here, and then you start there. So that way it would allow the scoundrel to get a turn and then me get a turn. And then potentially if I fail at actually shooting him dead in a single turn, we would get other ones, but I'd probably kill him pretty fast. But yeah, I think that's the way I would do it. To make sure that you kind of learn the necessary aspects, and then for the next fight I would add in some environment cards. So let's reset. Sorry, excuse me. Okay, so let's reset. Let's turn on 2 environment cards. I'm going to swap out Hole just because I want to, with Debris. Okay. So Debris, any combatant who resolves a melee skill while in this column will gain bonus damage equal to their strength. I don't really have any strength, so it's not a big deal. But if you're... I try and make sure that everything in the game, like if you want to focus on being a strong character, like strength, that strength plays into a number of different things. Speed and accuracy. So there are attacks where like the damage is based on your strength. Specifically melee attacks are based on your strength, and the more strength you have, the more damage they do. And same thing with guns, like the more accuracy you have, the easier it is to do, like get a really good shot in. Speed plays into a number of things. I mean, accuracy also plays into melee, like your ability to accurately, hit them. Speed plays into stuff like sometimes if someone's trying to shoot you, they would add their accuracy to their outcome, but deduct your speed. So while they may be getting stronger with better accuracy, you can still counteract that with being faster. So that way, like, accuracy always matters, speed always matters, and strength always matters, and they play into different aspects and different things. So there's never a reason, like if you want to build a strong character, strength is going to matter to you, but also speed and accuracy will matter to you. When it comes to like shooting a gun, strength does not matter that much. Just thematically, it just does not make much sense. But like perhaps for like really powerful weapons, I don't know, really big kickback or something. I don't know. Okay, so for this second fight, I would say add in the environment cards. Make sure you read their effects. I'd probably curate the environment cards to something like bright lights. Go probably curate it to cover. So I'd put a cover here, and and maybe barrier. I don't know. I honestly don't know what the proper curated environment cards are for newbies. I don't find any of them that complicated. But barrier and cover might be good ones. Actually, not barrier. It actually, oopsie. Why can't I search anymore? What has happened? Oh, because it's not something you can search. Okay. Toxic gas, no. Water, no. Anomaly. Yeah, I think barrier, maybe haze. No, haze doesn't. Yeah, I think barrier. The reason I'm saying barrier is just because barrier is pretty basic. It's basically just like you can't move past it. You can move on to it or off of it. But like in a single turn, it's going to force you to stop. So if I wanted to like run away from him, barrier would be very helpful in that situation, especially because I was going to say especially because haze is here, but I'm not adding haze. So for the second thing, I'd say, okay, add cover here and barrier here. You're going to have the scoundrel in the first slot, and then you're going to have another scoundrel in the last slot, and then put you in the middle like this. So now we're fighting two people at once. Dun, dun, dun. And so in this fight, we are experiencing fighting multiple enemies at once, as well as environment cards. And yeah, so we're gonna give that a whirl and see how this fight shakes out. So this time I'm going second. So okay, so the scoundrel on their turn, creature layouts. Okay, so there's going to be a couple of questions on the app. You would go creature turn, and then you would click on select the creature. And so you would click scoundrel, and then it goes through this list of priorities. And if you answer yes to any of these questions, it's basically questions. So first of all, am I dying? No, he's not dying. Just so you'll know, dying is when they're red. So he's not dying. So next up we go, am I within range distance of my target? The answer is yes. So I would click that button. And then it asks me, is my target on a cover environment card that has been rotated, or on the haze or shadow environment cards? The answer is no. Is my target slowed or exhausted? No. Is my target on an ignitable substance or toxic gas environment card? No. Is my target slowed or weakened ×1? No. You can go through these ones really quick as you're just looking, because it's asking questions about you, right? When it's when you're the focus of a creature, you're the one who resolves that creature's turn. So you already know all this stuff basically because it's about your character. Is my target with my current speed, is there the cover environment card that I can move to? Yes, it's right here. Okay. Has the cover card already been rotated? The answer is no. I would click no. And move and then... Sorry, I gotta touch that. Move and then resolve the cover card and rotate it. Exhausting myself. So I'm gonna move over here. Oops. Not only is he going to rotate it, then he's going to attack with hip shot, bullseye, and the hammer. Yep. Yeah, I might make this... Right now, these are kind of redundant. There only needs to be one of these. But basically he's going to move over there. He's going to turn it into cover, which gives him ×2 accuracy. And it makes my speed 0 against his ranged attacks. So, yeah. And then he's going to resolve one of these things. So I'm using random.org. I just input what the options are. So there's 3 options. Then I click generate. So I get option number 1, which is going to be hip shot. So he's going to resolve hip shot. So I go over here to hip shot. And it's going to go resolver must roll 1d20 and add their accuracy to the roll outcome. So their accuracy currently is 6, which is very high. And it's 6 because the cover's doubling it. Ooh, and he got 16, so that's 22. Which means he does a powerful shot, which is going to hurt. So a powerful shot, target takes 6 plus weapon damage. Now, currently, the way that it works is the creature's weapon damage is the same as yours. So whatever you equip is technically also setting it for the creatures. That way, like as you get more powerful weapons and stuff like that, they're kind of scaling with you. But they don't get access to like the enchantments and stuff like that. So, or stat boosts or whatever. But it's my way of, because the game has to scale as a player gains power, and so this is one way I'm currently scaling the game. So I'm going to take 6 plus 3 kinetic damage. I'm going to be staggered and exhausted. Dang it. That hurt. You always get staggered to the right. So I'm going to take 9 damage. So from 15 minus 9, it's going to put me at 6. So, ouchie. Then I'm going to be staggered and exhausted, which means bad things. It means my turn's over, essentially. When you end your turn, you get exhausted. Yeah. Alright, so now it's going to skip my turn because I'm exhausted, but luckily I can't be attacked by him unless he moves because of the barrier. So I get staggered over here, skips my turn and goes to this guy. So I'm probably going to end the fight here soon. Mostly because I'm tired, but I have a good sense of where it's heading, and it's just going to play out, and I'm either going to die or not die. And in the tutorial, it'd be like, if you get defeated, try again. And set it up the same way until you defeat the encounter. And yeah, so for this guy, if we go through his creature layouts, is he dying? No. Am I within range distance of my target? Nope. Is my target slowed or exhausted? Yes. Am I impaired? So it's saying, is the creature impaired? No. In fact, it shouldn't ask this for... it shouldn't ask that only for Lord of Scoundrels. Because they can't get conditions, there'd never be a situation where they're impaired. But anyway, So no, kill shot. They're going to use kill shot, which I might actually die. Target must be exhausted, dying, or slowed. Attempt to execute your target. The victim's vulnerable state has provided an opportunity for a solid kill shot. No one may use a ranged skill on a target that is past this space in relation to their own position in combat queue. I actually gained 2 damage from range. I'll probably set that to 1d6, but this card cannot be replaced. No one may use a ranged skill on a target that is past this space in relation to their own position in combat queue. Oh, so you can shoot someone on the barrier, but you can't shoot someone past the barrier. Okay, so he can shoot me over here with his kill shot, which is a a melee. It's a melee kill. Yeah, I'm having a thought where I'm thinking, currently, if you're adjacent to somebody, you're within melee range. But I'm curious if I should make melee make it so that it just keeps on popping on you guys. Make melee so that it's only in the column. So if he wants to melee me, he has to be in the same column as me. I don't know currently the implications of that, but it is. I think it might clear things up if that's the situation. Thematically as well. Like, I'm technically in this barrier and he's gonna melee me. I don't know. No, it's fine. It's I'm not gonna change it right now, but it's gonna be on my mind thinking about that change. Okay, so Resolver must roll 1d20 and add their accuracy to the outcome, then input the outcome. So, wow. For a couple of these, I haven't updated them to also include the target speed yet. I don't know if I should for kill shot, because the premise is that the target is in a situation where they're not going to move. That's why they have to be exhausted, dying, or slowed ×2. And slowed ×2 means your speed is 0. So you're not moving. Okay, anyway, he rolled a 3, which is... Why is this 16? This should be 1 to 15. Dang it. Okay, so we got a 3 plus his 3 accuracy, which is 6. So it's actually, this one's actually pretty hard to pull off. I feel like I should make it easier. Just make a note for myself. Make easier to do something. Bradley something. Like, but for right now, even a 6 would always be a fail. That's a really low number. Usually it's 10 or above. You're actually going to do some form of damage. And you do more damage the closer you get to 20. So him rolling a 6 would be nothing. So the shot misses. And then he would be exhausted, and then that would be the end of the turn. Then we'd flip everyone back over. And this joker over here would be trying to shoot me still. And he'd probably kill me. Let's see if he kills me right now, actually. Let's just do it. So he's within range. He's within range, and that means... is my target... I'm probably going to put in converse healthy. Yeah, okay, so we go to random. We're going to put in 1 to 4. It picks 1, so he's going to do bullseye. Alright, we haven't seen Bullseye before. So, guarantee your shot and inflict a random condition. Breath held. One eye squinted. Trigger finger ready, mom's spaghetti. That's a joke. Powerful shot. Target takes 6. Oh, so what's going to happen here is there's no like random roll. Like this is a guaranteed shot. I feel like I need to work on this one a bit more with the how much it costs. But yeah, basically there are 4 outcomes. I'm going to generate one. So we got 3. Weakening shot. Target takes 3 plus 3 kinetic damage and is weakened times 1. So I have to take 6. So he would kill me because I have no kinetic resistance. He'd kill me. I failed the encounter. Say if he hadn't killed me, I would have gained weaken times 1, which means just a 1 here, and it lowers my resistances and strength. So this was definitely yeah, I'm curious if fighting 2 guys at once is going to be too hard for new players without more power available to them. I think for this one, I would let the difference with this one, I would let the players be the first one to resolve a turn. That way they would get an upper hand. And I'd set this guy over there. Yeah, and I'd start this guy on the cover. Yeah, I'd start this guy here. So because this bear is here, it's going to take me some effort to get to this guy, or that guy to get to me. So it's going to prolong the fight that way. And with the player starting here, I can straight up, fire at this guy, or I can move to the cover and flip it over. That's going to take my 2 actions, though. But yeah, I can move and flip over the cover, and then this guy would attack me. But or I could just shoot him and hopefully kill him in 1 turn. So that way I feel like, okay, good. But if I don't, I don't know. It just gives the players some sort of familiarity with fighting against 2 guys at once. It lets them wrap their head around it, even if it's not, even if they, take this guy out in the very first thing. I think, yeah, maybe this is what I would do right here. They'd start over here. So this guy has to spend a turn moving off of this. If my gun was, if I had a knife or a gun or whatever, I'd definitely have to move. So if I moved over here and rotated the cover, that gives me a turn to kind of do that. And then he's going to move, and then I can get the bonus of cover. So I think what I would do is I'd have them set it up like this, and then I'd suggest through the tutorial that they utilize the cover to gain an advantage. So essentially what I want the player to do is to move over here, rotate the cover, and I want them to think of this on their own, obviously with the hint of using cover. Then the creature's going to move here. That's going to exhaust them. This guy's probably going to move onto the barrier because he's got to get closer. Actually, I don't even think this guy would move off of the barrier based on his behaviors, because you gain a ranged advantage. You gain bonus damage if you use a ranged skill. Ooh, actually no. So what would happen is if I was in cover with the Martin is my target on a cover card that has been rotated. Then it tells him to move as close as possible, avoiding hazardous environments. So if I move here, and then if you happen to end up in the same spot, like if he started here and I was on cover, the game instructs him to move here. But if he's here, he would move here, and then that would kind of be it for his turn. and yeah, based on his behavior. So that way the player moves to the cover, they set it up, this guy moves over here, this guy moves on to the barrier. That's what he's going to do. Oops. Which is reminding me that I need to add in behaviors for barrier. Because right now their current behavior programming doesn't account for the barrier environment card. And it needs to. So anyway, you move on to barrier, then the player most likely would kill this guy, and then this guy would try and move over, and then the player would kill that guy. Try to anyway. Most likely would, because you're getting such a big advantage from being here. And then they feel like, okay, I used cover, I killed two guys at once, I saw how that played out and I resolved it. So the player at that point then learns environment cards and fighting multiple things. And then I think the next fight I would have them do is more environment cards curated that I'd probably do something like ignitable substance, and I would gift the player like a firebomb so that they could practice interacting in a more complicated way with environment cards. Basically, ignitable substance. If any combat yeah, basically this would set on fire and it would get flipped, and you would then pop fire in the dynamic environment slot. And so the next fight would be about teaching them about interacting with more complicated environment cards and using that to their advantage. So I'd set up a fight where like I'm really pushing the player towards a certain behavior to help them learn. And I'm most likely also going to suggest to them like use the firebomb on the ignitable substance to win the fight. And so they had to figure out how to use the firebomb and the ignitable substance to kill these guys. And I might even I'd probably just have them do 2 players, and then the next fight I might have them just fighting a Lord of Scoundrels so that they can practice fighting like a boss. And then the next fight after that, I would have them fighting 3 guys. And then maybe the one after that, it would be like fighting 4 guys at once. Which I'd have to gift them something to make them more powerful. Excuse me. But the premise, the idea is that for combat, you could be faced with fighting... I'm missing an environment card here. Fighting 4 people at once. Now, in most situations, you're never going to fight 4 people at once unless you're very high level, because it's definitely challenging. And yeah. So, I realize I've been talking for a very long time, but I just wanted to... I don't know anyone who's going to watch it, but I just wanted to share some of my process and just kind of show off playtesting it and what I do when I playtest it. I go through and I think, how's the player going to interact with this? What's going to be too much information for them? How do I ease them into it? Because the big thing about this game being easy to learn is it's very easy for the app to be like, for the tutorial to go, okay, let's start out small, add in a little here. Like, there are tons of skills in the game. So many skills, but you only get 2 or 3 to start out with. Now, when you're high level, you might have access to like 10, 15 skills at once. I don't know, maybe even 20. But, 20 skills plus all the environment cards, plus how the creatures behave, and like, it gets more complex. But as long as the players are gradually introduced to that complexity, it's fine. And especially the pacing of including that complexity. Like, if you're like, okay, for this one fight, do this, and then the next fight, so much complexity, it doesn't really work. You got to give them time to get used to fighting one creature, and then give them time to get used to fighting two, and bosses, and that kind of thing. So it's very important that that the game is easy to learn, and so a tutorial like that's going to walk you through the different aspects of the game and conditions and teach everything is a really big item on my list of things that have to be right for Outlaws, because it was something that was so I wouldn't say so wrong. Grimslingers did do that. They said start it with just basic elements and then add this stuff in, but I don't think it was done quite right. But I'm gonna do it right with Grimslingers, where the game's gonna build up. Combat's gonna build up in its complexity and your adventure over time until you're this really sweet gunslinging outlaw casting magic spells and stuff like that. Yeah, so another thing I need to think about is what the player's going to start with. Like, am I going to let them choose their starting weapon? Like, will they get to choose a grimoire, knife, or a gun, like melee or ranged? I think that's what I want to do. But I'm not certain. I feel like it'll be more work for me to let them choose. It's more fun if the player gets to choose what they want. So if you want to be a spellcaster, but I feel like that would necessitate doing several different tutorials, and I don't like that. I think for the tutorial, it'd be like, here, you have this gun, and then at the end of the tutorial, it's like, okay, now do you want to choose to have a gun, a grimoire, or a knife? And yeah, so giving players choices, like getting to choose, it's just fun. It's just fun. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you watched all of this, you're amazing, and you probably have better things to do with your life, but I appreciate that you took the time to be excited or interested in Outlaws in a Strange Land and to listen and watch me play test the game. So yeah, thank you. I will show more soon.